Warning: the following video contains explicit language, which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
For watching this short here. I just wanted to give an update here on the incident here, the shooting that happened here in Maine. Apparently the individual that the police were looking for was found dead. I don't know if it was suicide or what happened, but I don't know, I kind of figured that was probably how it was going to end. They couldn't find him, and then they find him dead. It's left the state rattled, and there's an article here that came out in the Bangor Daily News, which I thought was an interesting read. So I wanted to read this for you all. And so this is by Troy Bennett. It was written about 12 hours ago, and it says, on Thursday, United States Senator Angus King assured us the violent tragedy in Lewiston was an aberration, the work of a lone troubled individual. Quote, "This is not who we are," unquote, King said, describing Mainers to the nation. It was a statement meant to comfort and reassure, but was it true? That's something we're going to have to wrestle with in the weeks and months ahead. In the meantime, I witnessed 3 acts of kindness on Thursday while covering the tragic aftermath and manhunt mayhem. One Mainer was capable of unthinkable violence, but I saw firsthand how more of us have the capacity for tolerance and compassion. Around midday, I was standing, cameras in hand, at a police roadblock on Route 196 in Lisbon. I was taking pictures of a young officer while he stopped cars. Instead of yelling at them to go back, he walked up to each vehicle with a smile, carrying a large semi-automatic rifle. Quote, "Where are you trying to get to?" unquote, he asked the drivers. The officer made the same inquiry as a large Dodge pickup approached. The driver, an older gentleman with the gray beard, said he wasn't trying to get anywhere. Quote, "We just wanted to make sure you had something to eat," unquote, the man said, holding up a white plastic shopping bag. The officer said he was all set. Quote, "Are you sure?" unquote, the man replied. Quote, "There's some snack crackers in there and some nice old Moxie," unquote. The officer acquiesced and said thank you, breaking into a genuine smile. Later in the day, I was called to the scene on the Meadow Road in Bowdoin, where police were serving a search warrant. Dozens of local, national, and international media had set up shop in someone's paved driveway. It had a decent view of what the police were doing. Among the crowd, I saw an elderly woman standing behind the newsfolk, looking a little bit dazed. I approached her and asked if we were in her driveway. She nodded her head. I asked if anyone had checked with her first. Quote, "The first one did," unquote, she said. My eyes widened. Quote, "It's okay," unquote, she said in a resigned Maine accent. Quote, "I know people want to know what's going on. I do too. I just hope everyone takes all their things when they leave," unquote. Later, she pushed her husband out in his wheelchair, and he spoke to the press. He expressed his compassion for the fugitive's father, whom he knew. Quote, "I have a son too," unquote, he said. When the police left the scene a few hours later, the media started to melt away. Their cars, trucks, and news vans lined both sides of the narrow county road. One large van with an NBC logo and New York plates got stuck in a grassy ditch when the driver tried to turn it around. It looked doomed. Before long, a flatbed tow truck inched its way up the road, just squeezing in between the parallel lines of vehicles. The driver got to work fast with a hydraulic winch. He had the van out in about 2 minutes. The van man approached with his wallet open. Quote, "How much do I owe you?" unquote, he asked. Quote, "It's okay," unquote, the tow truck driver said. Quote, "You don't owe me anything," unquote. He climbed back into the tow truck, and its reverse beeper started. It receded backwards slowly into the night. The van driver just stood there, mouth agape. Angus King may not have it totally right, but he's not all wrong either. This is really who we are. So, yeah, you see, this is, you know, like when I say at the end of each of my videos about treating each other nice, because it's good karma, it comes back around. It's important even in times like these when bad things happen that we double down on trying to be nice, you know, because I think it in a way comforts, you know, the person giving, you know, the good attitude, as well as giving it, you know, the person receiving it. It sort of, you know, reminds us that we're not all violent, that we're not all bad, that we can do good things, you know. And yes, there are individuals out there troubled, dealing with stuff, and you know, and like this person was here. They said he was hearing voices and stuff like that. So obviously, mentally, he should have been still in the hospital where he had been, but you know, the system let him go, and you know, that's a whole other discussion there. But he needed help, and you know, and so with people like that out there, I mean, they're likely to do some terrible things. And I'd like to think that, you know, maybe the guy at some point before he died realized what he had done, you know, that the realization of, you know, that people that he killed hit him, you know, and maybe it was that, you know, if he killed himself, that was the reason why he did it, because the agony of what he had done was too much for him to you know, process. I'd like to think that, because at least it would seem that there was some good still left in the guy, at least enough to know better. I mean, so sometimes we take drastic steps, you know, in times of extreme emotion, because we lose control of ourselves. We forget ourselves, you know, we forget, you know, what's decent and what isn't decent, you know, because our panic level's through the fucking roof, or whatever the hell problem we have. And so, you know, I'd like to think that, you know, at some point this guy realized what he'd done, you know. But at any rate, the people, you know, that this guy met here, you know, I think that what it is that, you know, we don't get that kind of attention in this state, okay, where we have these tragedies. And when it happens, we're all affected, because it doesn't happen a lot. And when there's people around and they're trying to cover the story and everything, I think instead of getting angry at the reporters and stuff like a lot of places do, because, you know, they see them all the time and they're always underfoot, you know, and people get pissed off at having them around. Around here, it's not like that. You know, we don't always see the media around, okay? Once in a while, you know, I might pass, you know, a reporter on the road, on the interstate or something like that, but it's not often, okay? But you know, they're out there, but it's no big thing for us. But you know, in the big cities, when there's a thing like this, I mean, the whole world descends on them, and it's like, you know, even the police don't want them around. But you know, in Maine, I guess it's not such a thing, because we're not always the topic of conversation in the newspapers. This time we were, and so people were just dealing with it the way they deal with anything else when they're confronted by people they don't know. You know, just treat them nice, you know, and they'll be on their way. And that's pretty much all. And plus, you know, Maine is mostly elderly people. They say we have the oldest population in the country. So, you know, we're not people, when we're elderly people, are not the kind that are going to just jump right onto people's faces and stuff, you know, like a lot of young people do, and start a fight. Okay, they just ain't got it in them, you know, essentially to do that kind of thing, you know. They'll talk to you and stuff, but you know, they don't want all this hype all around them like bees, you know. And so that's how they kind of handle things around here. But when you got a lot of young people, I mean, they create a scene for over anything, you know. So like I said, it's a thing that I think that if you treat people nice, it comes back to you. What nice, you know, like the cop that shows up at the truck and asks him where you headed, and the guy says, I'm just coming here to get you some food. I thought you might need it, you know. And who does that, you know, in other places in the country. I'm sure there's other places in the country where people that way. Maine isn't the only state that's kind of like that, rural and has a low population. You know, there's a lot of states in America that are, you know, have low population and people are about out in the middle of nowhere. Okay, so I mean, it's not like it's unheard of, but that's kind of how it is in Maine, because our rural areas are just woods. You know, it's just we don't have desert, we just have woods everywhere. That's desert for Maine. Okay, and a lot of people live out in that. You know, and they live on the deer they shoot, and you know, and the plants that they plant, you know, and the vegetables. They, you know, they make their life out there because they're so far away from the beaten track. You know, and so these people, you know, in a lot of ways, they kind of live off the grid. They're kind of untouched by some of the savagery that goes on in the world, and so they don't really know. But yeah, I wanted to just share this news article here, and you know, I thought it kind of echoed a little bit more of what I say at the end of every video that I've been making here lately. So like he said, I'm sure this is going to be something that we're going to be wrestling with for days to come here. As for this happen, it's going to be a reminder of you know, of what can happen even in a state like Maine. We're not completely isolated here from the tragedies of the country, but at the same time, we are not incapacitated from giving out good and doing good to other people in response. Okay, instead of beating each other up, it's better to just try to help each other out, even in tragedy like this, when people need that help and stuff. Because really, that's the best way to do things. I mean, why be the other way around? You know, gets you nowhere. All right, so I'll talk to you again another time. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.